Gavin Newsom, in every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is the governor of this state.
Yeah.
He is pathetic. A native Angelino. I was born and raised in California. I love my state. I love the people in the state. But it is an absolute wasteland right now.
Ana Kasparian, a well-known progressive and co-host of The Young Turks, just ripped into Gavin Newsom live on air. And it wasn't pretty. When someone from your own team starts launching verbal grenades, you know things are going downhill fast. Kasparian didn't just call Newsom out. She tore him apart. Piece by piece, like someone who's watched her state fall apart while its governor smiled for photo ops and fixed his hair. California's golden dream. It's starting to look more like a glitchy TikTok filter. Fake, broken, and fading fast, and Kasparian's had enough. So what did she say that's got Democrats sweating? And is California finally snapping out of the illusion?
Get into, okay, you're gonna get robbed.
No.
Using taxpayer money, funneling it to nonprofits so they can literally buy crack pipes and hand them out at Skid Row. There is video evidence of that. Paying incredibly high taxes that go to what? So yeah, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And honestly, just experiencing what I've seen on the ground in California has made me question a lot about left-wing ideology.
No.
Look, I would take
her over it. It's horrible that we have to do that.
I could never vote for Newsom.
No,
I just can't. I would just say that his leadership in California is good reason to brush him off for the loser that he really.
Ana Kasparian didn't ease into it. She came out swinging. No fluff, no sugarcoating, just a direct, brutal takedown of Gavin Newsom. She called him out as the guy who turns every crisis into a photo op, while the state crumbles behind the scenes. And she's saying what most Californians are only whispering: Newsom's leadership has been a disaster. Crime up, homelessness, out of control, the streets, filled with chaos and desperation. Kasparian's outrage isn't fake, it's real, and it's earned. This isn't a hit piece from the right. This is a full-on progressive meltdown. She slammed the incompetence, the constant misfires, and Newsom's obsession with looking good instead of doing good. California's losing people, businesses, and hope, and Ana's not the only one saying Gavin's time might be running out.
2014, voters in California overwhelmingly supported a ballot measure to support building more reservoirs in the state in order to bulk up our water infrastructure because we live in a drought-prone state. That passed in 2014. Funding was attached to it. You want to know how many reservoirs have been built since 2014? Zero. This state is an utter joke because of the people who are governing it. Gavin Newsom right now is at the top of that list.
But Ana Kasparian wasn't finished, not even close. She zeroed in on one of Gavin Newsom's biggest failures: environmental disaster mismanagement. When wildfires ripped through Pacific Palisades, what did Newsom do? Practically nothing. In fact, Ana torched him for doing the opposite of what any real leader would do. He destroyed a dam, yes, an actual water source that could have helped fight the flames to protect fish. You heard that right. The fish dot, while homes were turning to ash and families were being displaced. Gavin was out here saving salmon. Kasparian didn't hide her disgust. California was burning, and Newsom was too busy virtue signaling to notice. She ripped into his priorities as completely backwards. Real people lost everything, and all he gave was environmental buzzwords and a fresh layer of hair gel. Bravo. Gavin. 10 points for effort. 0 for results.
Was surprised about. I did not expect Donald Trump to flip 10 counties in California from blue to red. But I guess I shouldn't have been surprised about that either. Because when you look at the conditions that people are living in a Democrat-controlled state, well, yeah, you can understand why people are turning their backs on the Democratic Party. You can understand why people are frustrated at the corruption, at the loss of $24 billion that was allocated to help the homeless, when homelessness only exploded during that time, and that money is now unaccounted.
Then Ana Kasparian dropped the real shocker. Gavin Newsom is actually helping Trump. That's how bad his leadership has become. His failures are so visible that even in deep blue California, Trump might flip seats. Kasparian didn't hold back. She warned that if Democrats want to save what little ground they have left, Newsom needs to go. His reckless spending, crumbling schools, collapsing infrastructure, and disappearing budgets have pushed even loyal progressives to their limit. And while the state suffers, Gavin's busy crafting his national image like it's a fashion campaign. California, once the pride of progressives, is now a political punchline, and Trump is taking full advantage. The biggest irony, the only person calling it out isn't a Republican. It's a progressive with blue hair who's finally had enough.
President Newsom candidacy look like in a general election, not just pandering to the left?
Yeah, good question. He would sell out the American people to corporate interests, just like he did with PG&E, starting fires and destroying countless Californians' lives as a result of that. He bailed them out. He totally bailed them out. He has provided protection for them, even though they absolutely refused to update their century-year-old equipment, which everyone knew was going to lead to devastating wildfire.
At this point, Ana Kasparian goes full scorched earth, painting a nightmare scenario: Gavin Newsom as president. Just imagine it: sanctuary cities on overdrive, ICE agents tied up in red tape while violent offenders roam free, and taxpayer money poured into aesthetic homeless camps made for social media, not solutions. She slams Newsom for siding with ICE protesters over federal law enforcement, hardly the resume of a future president. Kasparian makes it clear: a Newsom White House would be California's chaos scaled nationwide, all to impress Twitter activists and tech billionaires. She tears apart the fake virtue signaling, the staged photo ops, and the elite fantasy that this is leadership. If this man ever ran the country, it wouldn't just be California burning, it'd be America on fire. And Anna's not whispering. She's sounding the alarm loud enough to wake even the most deeply woke.
In every single interview I've seen him do, has passed the buck, even though he is the governor of this state. He is pathetic. He's a snake. He's like the slimiest Democratic politician, certainly on a local level. But what we have seen is mismanagement of epic proportions, and the mere existence, and it is real, the existence of climate change should not be utilized as a talking point in order to pass the buck, in order to deflect blame, in order to refuse to take any personal responsibility for how poorly this state has been governed for several years.
Here's where it really gets interesting. It's not just Newsom's failures that have people furious. It's the complete lack of accountability. Ana Kasparian says it plain. Gavin Newsom has perfected the blame game. When things fall apart, and they always do, he points fingers at COVID, climate change, Republicans, even the voters. Anyone but himself. Kasparian lays it out clearly. Californians aren't asking for miracles anymore. They just want a leader who can own up when things go wrong. But Newsom hides behind buzzwords and loopholes, gaslighting the public while cities collapse and businesses pack up. Anna's fed up, and you can hear it in her voice. She's not just speaking for herself. She's speaking for millions. And the real question echoes loud: how is this guy still in charge? How did it get this bad? The answer, simple: because no one ever held him accountable until now.
I don't know if I can.
Please, you must. It's a necessity.
So, Democratic establishment candidates are full of and I need people to understand that. And we need to get out of this like vicious pendulum swing cycle where we go from one terrible administration to another terrible administration. They just have different branding. But in the end, they do nothing for ordinary people. And that's what people are hungry for. I think that's part of what explains the popularity of Zoran Mamdani in this mayoral race in New York.
Kasparian doesn't just keep the fire aimed at Newsom. She expands it to the national stage. AOC, Kamala Harris, the entire Democratic elite, no one's safe. Birds of the same feather, she says. Different faces, same failures. What unites them? Flashy speeches, social media clout, and zero results. Kasparian's warning is blunt. None of these so-called rising stars are fit to lead. They chase likes, not solutions. It's the hard truth the left doesn't want to hear, but desperately needs to. If this is the Democratic Party's best lineup, America's in real trouble. And Anna's done playing along. She's over the optics and the identity games. She wants leadership that works, not leadership built on hatch decks. And to her, Gavin Newsom is the perfect example of what happens when style replaces substance.
A native Angelino. I was born and raised in California. I love my state. I love the people in the state. But it is an absolute wasteland right now. Every freeway bridge is full of people living in tents. There's excrement on our sidewalks. It's unsafe. Crime has gone up. And when it comes to coronavirus, I mean, the fish rots from the head down.
California used to be the American dream. Now it's a full-blown nightmare. Ana Kasparian speaks with the pain of someone watching a place she loves fall apart. Businesses are fleeing, families are packing up, and what's left is a slow disaster fueled by poverty, rising crime, and failed leadership. She doesn't sugarcoat it. California has become a safe haven for criminals and a dumping ground for the homeless. Not because the people stopped caring, but because the leaders did. Newsom's policies have turned streets into tent cities, and anyone who speaks up gets branded as hateful or not inclusive enough. You can hear the heartbreak in Ana's voice. This isn't the California she grew up in. It's what happens when ideology replaces common sense. When woke wins out over what works. And Gavin Newsom, he's the architect of this collapse. Ana's not just criticizing him, she's mourning the state he helped destroy.
Really does find it funny. He's not bothered by it at all. You just heard the bitter statements of a snake who unfortunately serves as the governor of California. Some like to refer to him as Gavin Newsom. I like to refer to him as a smarmy failure of a politician out of the state that I was born and raised in. Nonetheless, Gavin Newsom was fighting hard to be the guy who stepped in to replace Joe Biden if he dropped out of the race, of course.
And here's the part that really stings. Ana Kasparian believed in all of it. She cared, she supported, she trusted the leadership, but now, she's done. Tired of the gaslighting, the lies, and the political theater, she's walking away from the Gavin Newsom circus. And this isn't coming from a MAGA pundit, it's from a progressive. That's how bad it's gotten, when even your own side says enough. The dam is officially breaking. And Ana's not alone. People across California, liberals, moderates, everyday workers, are exhausted. They don't want a showman. They want a leader. Someone who delivers results, not headlines. Someone who leads for the people, not for the cameras. In Ana's words, Newsom isn't just unfit, he needs to be replaced. Now.
Cool and relatable in his genes, and but like from between Cuomo and Newsom, these are actually two really good examples of people who represent the Democratic Party establishment who have not fully reckoned with their unpopularity during the COVID crisis and are now sort of trying to be as powerful as they were before without, I don't know, maybe actually even being seriously introspective as opposed to whatever the hell that was.
You're absolutely right, okay, in your analysis. And let me just say, you know that I like you when I'm willing to sit through a podcast episode featuring Gavin Newsom just to prepare for this. Okay, because I can't stand him. I can't stand his raspy voice. And it's not for any superficial reason other than the fact that I live in California. I've had the displeasure of experiencing what his leadership actually looked like.
Here's the ultimate twist. Gavin Newsom might be the guy who turns California red. That's not a joke. Ana Kasparian says it loud and clear. His arrogance, his incompetence, his out-of-touch elitism have pushed even longtime Democrats to the edge. Now you've got Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson openly rooting for a Republican revolution in the bluest state in America. This isn't a meme, it's a warning shot. Gavin's not just losing voters, he's handing them to the other side. And Kasparian's not whispering it. She's screaming it. If the Democrats don't dump Newsom fast, they won't just lose California, they'll lose the country. Her takedown wasn't a rant, it was a siren. California is literally and politically on fire, and its leaders are still busy striking poses. Gavin isn't the future, he's the funeral. If you're tired of the gaslighting, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us, is Kasparian right? Is Newsom the biggest liability the left refuses